back here on the Cover 3 podcast, where we always like to try to get you set for the new AP Top 25 poll being released on Sunday with a look at the changes in the rankings. We call it Tomorrow's Top 25 Today. Now, you can find a story by the exact same title on CBSSports.com. And so I like to ask my friends here, just sort of play some guessing games here. Do you think that Oklahoma can jump into the Georgia-Oregon range of the top 10? I think that being number 11 last week, beating Auburn at home, and so many teams straight up not playing or not playing anybody. Let me give it a little bit of context for those listening at home. 6 of the top 14 teams in the country were off. Just straight up didn't play this week. The only top 10 teams who even played a power conference opponent were Miami and Illinois. So in terms of big movements, we've only got a couple of results that are going to spark big movements, but I think one of them could be Oklahoma over Auburn, and that would not be big in terms of the number of spots, only notable because it is changing the conversations in terms of where the Sooners are landing and who we compare them to. So I'll ask, do you think the Sooners can get as high as 6?
I don't know if they'd get as high as 6, but I do think that they'll probably get into that like 7 to 9 range. Like, I don't think they'll be 10. And I mean, if you just look at it from like a resume perspective, not from an AP ranking perspective, but from like a power ranking perspective, is there a team out there that has 2 better wins than Auburn and Michigan right now?
There's not a team that has 2, but I wonder if Florida State's win over Alabama counts. I've got them at 8, 1 spot behind Florida State, but I could see them being ahead of Florida State and being at 7. And that is, like it often is, as y'all, probably gotten sick of hearing me saying, has to do with the voting points and the way the ballots came out last year. There was a definitive tier. It's like 1,400 voting points gets you into the Oregon range. And then there was less than 60 votes. And we're talking like 1,160 something to 1,000, 80 something. Like it was a very small gap from 7 to 11. So I've got Oklahoma basically jumping from the bottom of that tier to the top of that tier, but I don't know if they're going to jump all the way up into that Georgia-Oregon conversation.
Who would they have to jump to get to 8, Chip?
They would jump Texas and
Illinois.
Huh?
It's going to be a good day of arguing online.
Texas. Listen, Oklahoma over Texas is totally fine.
I don't know. Did you see Arch stare down that
Texas right now?
Arch stared down that Sam Houston dude. He's like, do you know who I am? Do you know my name? Do you know my family?
I have an unpopular opinion on that.
Let's hear it.
Can he just like release a little bit, just have a little fun?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Can I release a little bit? My team lost by 53. Can I have some fun?
You can, but it's
all
like,
right, then shut up and let me make fun of Arch. Big tough guy Arch.
That's like a Taj Boyd level last whoop.
Yeah, I've got Oklahoma jumping up to number 8. I've got Indiana jumping from 19 to 10. I've got Texas Tech jumping from 17 to 11. I think Illinois hangs in, Tom.
Okay.
9 to
I don't want them ranked. Get them out.
9 to unranked is a big drop.
Get them out. You lost by 53.
We're going to be talking about like BYU getting in, TCU getting in. I mean, we're dipping into new territory here. Mississippi State, I think Illinois carried enough weight with the voters that they're not going to fall all the way from 9 out, but they are definitely going to be in that point where next loss gets them out.
Get them out. Tank Big Noon kickoffs ratings.
Can we drop LSU? Not out of the polls, but just drop them down some.
I would, yeah.
So,
but the wins that were the booing them are Florida, who might not score 2 touchdowns against Miami if they played 10 quarters, and Clemson, which is a lot worse than we thought.
If Georgia, your request is heard, and I'm sure that there will be people that will do that. But if Georgia didn't jump LSU after beating Tennessee in Knoxville last week, they ain't going to do it this week.
But I think the difference is we now have two very confirming data points, right? Like Miami handled Florida better than LSU handled Florida. Like Florida gave LSU 5 turnovers, and LSU still didn't pull away until kind of late.
But our final margins were not different enough. So at the beginning of the day, when I made my notes of big moves that could happen to just sort of be thinking about, I was like, if Miami pastes, I was like, if Miami pastes Florida, we could talk about maybe being as high as number 2, but definitely jumping LSU for number 3. And I just think that 13-7 and heading into the fourth quarter for voters who are flipping on all the night games and trying to figure out who's who and what's what, that doesn't look that different than 20-10 the week before in the exact same spot on the exact same network.
That's fair.
Final margin will look different, but I don't think that Miami was impressive enough to spark that jump. But yeah, it is 100% a fair statement to go for.
Do you have TCU jumping in?
Yes.
Okay. And Auburn dropping out, obviously.
Utah and Auburn dropping out. Utah was a late addition. I don't know if you remember that. They started the year unranked, and they really only got in, after blowing the doors off UCLA, which has now fired their coach.
Of Indiana going to.
I think I said 11, right? 10th, yeah. Indiana 19-10, Texas Tech 17-11, which basically is so easy for voters because Texas A&M and Iowa State didn't play. When you're looking at the tiers and the way they're split up, just slot them in right there. Let's see. For Michigan, slight bump up, but no real change in terms of the overall pecking order. Notre Dame. They finally got a win, Tom. They got to win. They shouldn't only be ranked. They should move up. Write a column about it.
Purdue is feisty, all right?
Man, I got to tell you, looking at the others receiving votes from last week, this was this is probably one of the easier ones Chip has had, right? Because a lot of these teams either lost or they didn't play anybody.
Right.
Who had a good win? TCU and Arizona State?
Arizona State beat Baylor. I think that's decent.
And BYU just had such an advantage. BYU was close to USC last week. BYU was very, very close to breaking in. So double-digit win on the road across the country. Sure, they'll get they'll get a few more to punch their ticket on in. And who knows? Maybe Arizona State after that big win against Baylor ends up breaking through. If USC ends up, we'll see. We got
that was a fun Big 12 game, by the way.
It was a fun game.
Oh, the fourth quarter especially.
Mm-hmm. That's what the Big 12 is. That was that's like a quintessential Big 12 game.
Yeah. Of course, head over to cbssports.com to see the full 1 through 25, our projections of how the new top 25 will look on Sunday. All right. Anything else from the notebook?